Our bad. My bad.
Someone's bad.
Always learning Lou. Lagoon Lou. Last Lou standing. That's a good one.
Actually, that's a
good
great one. Lost in the Sauce Lou. Law-abiding Lou.
Lou, wielder of swords and the lord of the boards.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. You know what?
I'm
I'm tweeting that. I don't really tweet, but that's
Lou.
tweet worthy right there.
Loser.
Loser.
Hold on, we have these. Hold on, this
Can
is.
they see it?
Let me do this. Now they can see.
Laser Focus Lou is the most lying one of them all. Late Bloomer Lou. I do believe that one. Late Bloomer Lou. Yabba Dabba Lou. I'm actually mastering a song called Shabba Dabba. So Labba Dabba.
Oh, I'm checking out some stuff right here. Give me a second. Wait, here we go. Dashboard. There we
What
go.
is it? Lou, comma,
Yeah.
wielder.
Hold on. So we're gonna read through these real quick. This is a reading. Lamentable. Which one's your favorite, y'all? Lamentable Lou, Lovely Lou, 2 Liter Lou, Low Pass Lou, Lou Pass Lou.
Lou Pass Lou.
Leftover Lou, Lady Killer Lou, Lubed Up Lou, Legendary Lou, Lubed Up Lou.
Lubed Up Lou. Sounds like some Buffalo Bill shit.
Legendary Lou, Loser,
Aw.
Laundry Day Lou, Lou Wielder of Swords and Lord of the Boards. That one's a long one. That was good. Last Call Lou, Let's Go Lou, Late Bloomer Lou, Laser Focus Lou, Level Headed Lou, Winnie the Lou. That's a good one. Yabba Dabba Lou, SSL Bus Compressor, aka the Galoo.
SSL Bus Lou, aka the Glue.
The Galoo. Lost in the Sauce Lou, Last Lou Standing, Lagoon Lou, Law Abiding Lou, Legitimate Lou, Laminated Lou, Luxurious Lou, British accent. Where's the Lou? That was a really bad British accent. Law-abiding Lou, Legitimate Lou. Hold on, wait, we already did that one. Loudspeaker Lou, Lightning Reflexes Lou, Always Learning Lou, Laboratory Lou, Liability Lou. Liability Lou. That's a
Liability Lou. Man, that sounds like I am a liability. To be honest, there's a lot of them that I actually really liked. Lamentable Lou sounds pretty lovely, right next to Lovely Lou. 2 Liter Lou. I am glad to say I can barely drink a can of Coke nowadays, but give me a squirt and we can consider that 2 Liter Lou. Low Pass Lou. I like that one. I don't like too much top end. Let's see. Lou Pass Lou. Lou Payne. Leftover Lou. No, there's not a lot of leftovers on my plate.
What was
Lady Killer Lou?
Was Luscious Lou used?
Luscious Lou has been used before. Lubed Up Lou is the
Lubaloo, the Blue Lube Crew.
Wait,
Lubaloo,
what?
the Blue Lube Crew.
Where does it say that?
No, it's in the comments.
Lubaloo, the Blue.
Lube Crew.
Oh my god. Sounds like an orgy of Loos. Ugh. I don't even want to see that. Loser, Legendary Lou. I did get some legendary Pokemon yesterday at the store. Let's see. Last Call Lou. Technically speaking, we were at the bar yesterday till last call, so. Let's go Lou. Oh, that's like a Pokemon reference, like Let's Go Pikachu. It could be Let's Go Pika-Lou. Let's see. Late Bloomer Lou, yeah. Laser Focus Lou. Completely false on my personality. Level-headed Lou. Yeah, that's pretty. I hope pretty good. Winnie the Lou. That's just classic. Oh, by the way, guess what I found yesterday in my recycler bin?
What did you find?
My parents were throwing away old VHSs and everything. Loose Screw Lou. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Loose Screw Lou.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
But yeah. So I was throwing things away into the trash and recycler yesterday with Anna, and then I saw this orange tape, an orange VHS tape, and I was like, that kind of stands out. So I pull it out of the recycler, and do you remember a show called Little Bill?
Wait, like
Little Bill children's show?
isn't that
Bill Cosby?
Yeah, Bill Cosby show. I
Yeah,
remember that,
I have an original VHS of Little Bill, and it's in my car right now because I couldn't stand to see it in the recycle bin. For some reason, some part of me just did not want that to go to the recycle bin. And I look it up on eBay, it's selling for like $40. I'm like,
oh,
you mean to tell me that this thing's more worth than like a brand new movie that just hit the market on Blu-ray? Like Little Bill is worth that much? Like, and then I found out there's like a whole little community. There's somebody trying to sell Little Bills for like thousands of dollars depending on the episodes you have.
dude, I do actually like Little Bill. I remember watching that one every once in a while.
Yeah,
as a
and Bill
kid.
Cosby was the dad.
There's somewhere around all of this concept and just the timing of it all, something just feels a little messed up, but I can't put my finger on how and why it's messed up. But
Yeah, if you go to my Twitter, my latest tweet, Lou, the wielder of swords and the lord of the boards. Yeah, so if you haven't followed me on Twitter, it's just mastered by Lou. And I'll be posting some of these names. Can you send me that? Like, I feel like I should make... You know what? Can people illustrate these things? What does Winnie the Lou look like? It's just like my face. Yeah. Like...
Also, thanks for following Real Dallas Rose.
That's a nice name.
And
Dallas Rose.
Pandoots 22. And Scott A.
Wait, like Michael Scott? Oh, wait. Our client's name was Michael Scott.
We did have a client this week named Michael Scott.
Was
that
it this
pretty
week or
dope.
last week? Or whatever,
That was
whatever
last
week. Yeah. But, dude, that was crazy when you're like, his name's Michael Scott.
I thought that was funny.
Dude, I have a Michael Scott pop in the studio. Do you think he saw it and was like, hey, that's me?
I think that's what it was. Also, I'm pretty sure that he's been like barraged, annoyed with Michael Scott jokes.
So is it bad that I have like the main characters of The Office lined up on the rafters in the
No,
booth?
I don't think that's bad.
Like, just like, hey.
Also, I just want to point out, y'all notice the new keycaps? This keyboard is officially finished.
It's pretty sexy.
It's really sexy, dog. It's super sexy. Sexiness.
I don't like the way you're rubbing it.
Mm.
I don't like the sounds you're making while rubbing it.
Mm.
I don't like the moan you're making while rubbing it. But it does look sexy.
It does look sexy. All right. But we're going to do a podcast episode today. I think we're only going to do one today.
Why is that cable so beefy?
It's a beefy ass computer cable, keyboard cable.
Like, that looks like industrial strength power for the USB.
Talking about that.
Wait,
hold on.
is it?
It's
Is that like
USB-C. Yeah, it's definitely. You know how much this cable cost me? You're gonna laugh.
Oh my god, $60.
This is probably like I'm very much. I don't spend money. I don't spend money. But this is one exception where I probably, for what I got, this is like the worst thing.
$100.
$80 for this USB cable.
I was right on the toe and the top of it. Oh.
$80 for this stupid USB cable.
Wait, but is it? Let me ask you: is it strictly aesthetic?
It is strictly aesthetic. It is not special in any single way. It's got an XLR aviator pin right here, so it's like
Really?
This thing is XLR, so I can unscrew it and you can see the XLR. It'd turn off my keyboard, but I wouldn't. But that is strictly aesthetic. Has no functional purpose other than it just looks cool.
You know what? I don't mind because I just spent like $80 on pops yesterday, so it does nothing for me. It makes me no money. It just makes my room a little more
But
aesthetic.
at least you got multiple pops. That's a single cable.
Yeah, but at least it works for your keyboard, and mine just sits on a shelf and collects dust.
Oh, that's... Anyway, also everybody welcome on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, come join us on Twitch. We are taking questions, kind of do Q&A, and we do record the podcast. And if you want to be part of the podcast, I'm not really paying attention to Instagram. This is just kind of our way to get people onto Twitch. So come join us on Twitch. Link is in the bio.
Yeah.
Or YouTube. It's on YouTube right now as well, live on YouTube and on Facebook. But nobody worry about Facebook. We're not 7 years old here, so...
Damn, hey.
These Facebook users. My grandma still don't know how to be using Facebook. Sorry.
I don't know.
Poor grandma. That's all I'm saying.
Doesn't know
She's
how to use-
just like still comments on my photos, and she's still like, hey, I love this picture. Signed, this is your grandma.
Oh God. Oh God. Dude, so I forget what it is that Anna asked for me to look up. She and I forget, it was like, oh, just see if they're open. She's like, how do I Google if they're open? I'm like, you're a millennial and you just said that. You're a millennial and you just asked, how do I Google that?
Should I Google that for you.com?
Yeah.
There it is.
Dude, have you seen how that website works? It's hilarious.
Yeah. Maybe I'll show the stream here. Hold on, wait a second. Let me Google that for you or whatever.
Yeah, it's let me Google that for you.
Oh yeah.
Legifty.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull this up. So how do you say it? Like, so you send them this. How to treat
how to acoustically treat your room.
Treat a room. You get the link, and then you send them that link, and this is what happens when you send it to them. Wait a second.
Certainly. No, search, I think.
Wait a second.
Watch.
Wait, why did that? Let me do this again.
I thought I used to go to Google.
Yeah, I used to go to Google for you. Let me Google that for you. It just sucks now.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was a different website.
Type a question, click a button.
Yeah. So just type any question. How to play Pokemon. Creating. Okay.
Okay, copy URL. Okay, we can just do this.
Yeah, that's the one. Come on, was that really so hard?
That's
So I've sent this to a couple people, and I've gotten a number of responses, but my favorite one was, you didn't have to be so rude. So I responded, you didn't have to be so stupid.
Got him. Chazzy says, on Friday, you listened to my track and mentioned sound selection. How can aspiring producers improve their sound selection and sound libraries?
Ooh.
That's a good one. Sound selection. Hate typing on phones. How tired are y'all from 1 to 10? Wait, is 10 least tired or is 10 most tired? What is the
range?
I think we're definitely tired because we're laughing at stupid jokes. Our energy is pretty low right now. I think the energy's coming. And also, I did notice that the clips that I've been sharing on Instagram, because I've been sharing clips on Instagram, in one episode, I was like bouncing like this the entire time, like hyperactive ADHD mode, like. And this episode, I'm not going to do that. I'm definitely not going to do that this episode.
So Anna told me something the other day that I did not realize I was doing. So you know me, when I get anxious or I start having a lot of energy and I need to let it out, I'll just bounce my knee.
Uh-huh.
Well, apparently my hand was, let me see, where are my hands here? My hand was here, and I guess, no, my hand was on the mouse. My other hand was on my lap, just like it usually is. And apparently I was bouncing so much that it gave a very weird view to the viewers because my hand could not be seen and it was under the desk. But all you could see is that my arm was ferociously bouncing up and down in my lap. And I hate to say that ever since she told me that, I'm like, I'm going to try my best to stop bouncing my legs from now on. Like, I'm probably going to result to like tapping my fingers or something. But like, yeah, she told me, she's like, it was a very vivid imagination. I had that moment.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah. Thanks, babe.
Hey, but we're going to do an episode of the podcast today. I think we're just going to do one. And then, honestly, I don't want to do it too long. I don't want to be too long, but we're just going to do one episode. I'm sure we don't have any... Let me double check because now I'm not super sure. But I don't think we have any guests scheduled for today. We have a guest scheduled for like 2 weeks. Yeah, no guests today. But we wanted to... I think sound selection is actually a really great podcast episode idea. Can we do that for an hour, though? Can we talk about sound selection for an hour?
Can we?
I think we could. I mean, we can talk about
'Cause,
anything for an hour. We can talk about
we're
wiping
doing
how we
one
wipe our
episode
butts.
now.
I think
Is
we
that-
should just try. Let's try for one longer episode.
I mean, the cool thing about sound selection, it's so.
But don't wait. Don't make any opinions.
No.
yet. I
I'm
don't
not
wanna
making
waste
any opinions.
I
I'm
don't
just
wanna
saying
waste
it's
any
such a
opinions before
wide
we start.
variety topic where it's like,
production. We can go into arrangement.
Yeah.
And then, like things that make or break a mix. I think sound selection, arrangement is huge.
but I feel like there could also be like the opposite said about sound selection. Sometimes it just works.
Sometimes things just work.
Yeah.
All right, you want to do that? Is that a
Yeah.
good episode? Let's vote. Anybody else got any ideas that they want to throw into the bucket before we start recording?
No, we will not do cocaine live on stream. We will get banned.
Lou will not do cocaine live on stream.
I said we because I am included in that. You will also not.
Hold on. I said Lou will not do cocaine off screen.
Okay, DK is apparently including
No, I never
himself
said
in
that.
the cocaine.
I never said that. I just want to make sure that option is left open. I'm not gonna do it. I just want to make sure that I still have that option to. Like, I just want that freedom. If I really wanted to, worst case scenario, I have to snort some cocaine. Damn.
Wait, I have a question. So you can snort cocaine, but can you snort other things? Like, is there anybody out there in the world that's like tried snorting weed and see if it worked? I'm sure somebody tried it, but did it work?
Remember that one time? This is the highest thing Lou and I have ever done, and this is funny. I still think about this, and there was one time that Lou. This is a year and a half ago. Lou and I I don't think either of us smoke at all anymore.
No, not really. No.
Yeah, not really. Yeah.
Like, I have my pen at home, but it's lasted me 6 months. I have to wonder if it expires.
Forget.
Like, I might be smoking expired vape.
Oh no! So one of the highest things that we've ever done was I had a inflatable mattress, and the inflatable mattress was leaking. It was a queen size inflatable mattress. It was leaking, right? And we're like, we can't figure out where the leak is coming from. We don't have a pool where we can like dump, or like a big bucket where we can figure out where the bubbles are coming from. And I don't want to get this inflatable mattress wet. So I'm like, all right, I have an idea. At the time, we were smoking a lot, so we just had a lot of weed in the studio. I mean, our clients are rappers, right? The weed is really easily accessible. One of the things that we did, and this is so stupid. We're like, yo, let's blow smoke into the air mattress. So we put weed into a little the top of the holder for the bong, and I put it into the suction hole of the air mattress fan. We blew a bunch of weed smoke into the air, and the dude that was there is like, whoa, y'all got some money. Yeah.
Like, y'all just wasting that much weed.
We blew a bunch of weed smoke and it worked really well, except the smoke never came out of the little hole, so we never actually found the hole. We just wasted a little bit of weed. That's what it was.
I mean, the cool thing is that I don't think we ever spent that much on weed.
I personally want to know a good time to start social media accounts for my services.
Immediately.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Immediately.
I do think we could talk about social media. I think maybe if we do 2 episodes, we could talk about social media and about sound selection. The social media one I could go on for an hour.
Yeah.
But that would definitely be heavy DK thoughts.
Actually, what's funny is like I've noticed that part of the lessons that I teach has heavily gone into like how do you reach out to people, and I've just kind of started telling people it's really 2 things. It's networking and social media content creation. Like between those 2, you'll be fine.
Do you want to talk about that then? You want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about sound selection, or do you want to talk about both?
Well, what was our last episode?
Do we want to do two topics in one episode? Also, I don't know what
I don't know if they could tie into each other. It's like, so you're going to want to do sound selection on social media. You know what I mean? Like that seems like a hard tie. Oh yeah, we were doing demythifying.
Yeah.
Myth.
And then the one before that was.
Oh, that was cool.
What are we talking about?
Who remembers the 2 topics? One of them was demythifying.
I don't remember what we talked about.
Oh wait,
Acoustic treatment.
Yeah.
Was that what it was? Is that what we talked about? I'm doing a lot of talking for
Dude,
acoustic
but you're only
treatment.
listening to like
I'm
two
only listening-
words and then skipping. You get no context in those 2 words. Oh, it was why did I get a new room?
Ah,
Yeah, and
the
like
new room, setting up the new room. We
Yeah.
talked about setting up the new room.
Yeah.
Okay, both were pretty technical. I think that doing social media is a good one
I think so.
because that one's a much needed one. That's going to tie into like how to gain clients. Like I think that's one of the secrets.
How about when to clip gain versus compression? How about no? I'm
No,
just
no.
kidding.
What
I'm just
the
kidding.
heck?
No,
Yeah,
no.
how about no?
uh,
I think that's a good one too.
That is a
Something
good
I've-
one because to be honest, like I found myself, I feel like the longer
The
I
power
get
of the
stay in
favor.
this, yeah, the longer I'm in this, the more I want to stay away from compression.
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts about the social media one.
Mhm.
I want to do that one, but I will say right now, Lou, you're gonna have to force yourself into these conversations, or else I'm just gonna talk the entire time.
I mean,
I just know that's the only reason why I'm hesitant about the topic.
all right,
because
all
it's
right.
gonna
How
be a
about
lot of DK?
How about this? I will say it like this. We can talk about the importance of starting social media right away and the importance of not relying on social media.
So we're gonna have to balance.
Because
but either way,
I'm the opposite in that, in which I'm terrible at social media, and 90% of my income does not come from social media. I'd argue that less than 10% comes from any kind of networking via the internet. But
so my argument would then be, and that's fine, but imagine how much more you can increase your income if that number was 50%.
oh
If
no,
that
no,
number was
yeah, but
10%.
oh yeah, exactly. But then you forget about the network that's in your circle immediately.
No.
the
I don't think
convenience.
I don't think it's that's a false binary. I don't
No,
think
but
it's
that's why I
either
always
or.
say, like I was
I don't
saying,
think it's
like when I
either or.
teach nowadays, I tell people the importance of both content creation and networking. Because you have to
Yeah.
know people in your neighborhood. You have to have people that are close to you to work with.
All right, we're gonna do this. We've had a couple people now say, "Yep." So unmatched wave plugins. Hold on, wait. Unmatched waves plugins. Does that mean like waves plugins that nobody else has?
I mean, don't get me wrong, but if you have Waves plugins, you should maybe get Plugin Alliance. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Waves necessarily, but there's only very, very few Waves plugins that I would say that really go above and beyond, and then there's many of them that just kind of go by the wayside.
I just wasn't understanding the question. But let's do social media. Are we gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about personal brands. On that note, hold on, wait a second. Have y'all seen this guy? The Gary V parody thing? Hold on, wait a second. If y'all know Gary V, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen. Hold on, wait a second. Hold on, wait a second. This dude. Hold up.
You should compare social media and networking. I read that backwards. I'm dyslexic. Look at that.
Hold on, wait a second. We gotta play this video. This is so good.
Hey, my man.
مرحب حبيبي.
Yeah?
You ready to order?
No, I'm still looking, okay? You just gotta have patience, my man.
I have patience.
No, patience?
Patience.
Oh wait,
Okay,
is
I'm
it
gonna go
working?
with the shawarma.
Chicken or beef?
Do you have blueberries?
Blueberry. What do you mean?
Fucking blueberries, that's all I eat, bro.
لو سمحت. Then why are you here, my friend?
Beef is fine.
استغفر الله.
Hey, bro, what makes you happiest in life?
Making shawarma for you, brother.
Okay, but are you just doing this because your parents made you?
My friend, I own the 3 best shawarma places in this city.
Okay, but are you making content?
No, I'm making shawarma. You want pickle, hummus, garlic? Which one?
Okay, but bro, like, imagine all of this was on TikTok.
I don't care about tak-tak.
But there's so much fucking value.
Okay, wallahi, you are wasting my time now. إنه سراب.
Okay, bro, I got 7 meetings to go to. Take care.
خرا عليك.
We got 7 meetings to go to.
There's an episode of TikTok where what the hell is this? There's a episode of Gary V where there's Gary V every time he talks to fans. There you go.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, my
How's
man.
it going, man?
Yeah, how's it going, my man?
It's good. Look, I want to ask you
Yeah,
something.
okay.
I'm a storyteller.
Yeah, are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok.
Okay.
I got about like 3 million followers on there right now.
Bro, like, are you making content?
Yeah, I do one story a day.
Voice.
Oh, bro, like, you could be making 7 stories a day, which is
Every day?
massively underrated. Yeah.
7 stories a
Yeah.
day.
What's your question, my man?
All right, so basically, I'm looking now to get into
Okay.
public speaking.
Yeah,
and I
bro,
wanna-
like, if I were you, I would
Doesn't
be
let
calling
him
into
finish.
every single house in the United States of America, okay? Giving them public speaking tips in their bathroom, shower,
In the shower?
fucking garage. Yeah, in the garage. Yeah, bro, like, I was eating shit for like 17 years, doing tips for free, okay? Bro, like, you just gotta document
You think
okay?
it's a good idea to call every single house in America?
Yeah, bro, like, are you making this an NFT?
I'm making this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not making this none.
Okay, bro, like, garage sales.
I should do garage sales.
Yeah. Do you want blueberries?
There's an episode of or Gary Vee. There's like a couple ones where he's like, "Yo, I love blueberries," and he's like, "I kill blueberries. Like nobody eats more blueberries than me." And it was like flexing on how much he eats blueberries. He's like, nobody eats more blueberries, and just stuffing them in his mouth. It was funny. We like Gary Vee. Actually, we're gonna be talking a lot about him anyway. He actually does have a lot of good stuff. So we're gonna talk about that. All right, we're gonna start. We will be taking content or questions from the or from the stream at any given point. Feel free to comment and ask questions. We won't be able to answer and comment on all of them because as only if it's really relevant, but because we're recording this for people that aren't watching the stream. So just be aware of that, but feel free to participate. We actually encourage participation while we're recording, but we will be recording this episode now about social media. So here it comes. And wait for the line. Wait for the line.
The name.
Hello and welcome back to the Mixing Music Podcast. I am your host, DK, and with me, as always, is Lou, wielder of swords and lord of the boards.
I'm not gonna lie, that one's good.
Shout out to our boy Ian, Kid in the Box, for submitting that name. Lou, wielder of swords and lorder of the boards.
Lorder?
Hoarder of the boards.
Hoarder?
But anyway, we have a good episode for you today. I think this episode is actually super relevant, and this is important to you. This may be an episode that you don't want to hear. Well, relatively. I think this is not necessarily a audio engineering craft one. This is going to be something that's going to help you build clientele. It's going to help you focus on your business, grow your business and your brand, and have a more sustainable business that makes you more money. So it's going to be a good episode, very important. Want to get through. The topic is utilizing social media to your benefit. So capitalizing on social media, converting audience members, right? So what does that mean? So one of the things that I've talked about previously in the past, if you've ever listened to Six Figure Home Studio, or which is now called Six Figure Creative with Brian Hood and Chris Graham, I'm actually on that podcast. There's an episode where I talk about one of the businesses that I own and run. It's called LaunchPod Media. LaunchPod Media is a podcast marketing business. So we help businesses through SEO and analytics find their audience and their niche, and we help them sell their products via podcasts. And we have great numbers. We've had great clients like big clients like one of the funniest ones that I always talk
American
about.
Airlines?
We did not American Airlines. One of our clients is actually is not the World Health Organization. Is the oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
The pandas of the world?
Not the pandas of the world. What is the
WWF?
I'm blanking. I should pause this podcast and really stop blanking. Oh my gosh. I'm blanking. I'm gonna pause this podcast. I'm gonna stop the podcast. Wait. And we help them sell their product. This rarely happens. I don't tingle my tongue. I don't tongue twist like this. Big clients, like one of the funniest ones that I always. What? Great numbers. We've had great clients. Like. What is the name? Oh my gosh. Not the world. It's a world. They have a military. in the
HOA?
world. Oh my gosh.
It's probably the HOA Association. Yeah.
Nah,
the
not
Homeowners
HOA.
Association, you know. You do the wrong thing to your lawn, they bring out the military. You paint your house the wrong color, they bring out the guns.
No, people give speeches about them. Oh my gosh, I really
Hello, J Rush.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, has anybody here ever had butt buns? I'm trying to find where I can find some. I heard you can get them cream filled.
United Nations. The
There
U
you-
freaking N. Oh my gosh.
That's actually hilarious.
All right, I'm gonna start back up here.
Cool, mute us.
One of our clients is actually, this is kind of funny to say, is the United Nations. We've done a lot of their podcasts. They have a podcast about world news. We've done their podcast, and we've helped various different podcasts from homeopathic, like health stuff, to content marketing, to selling, like Salesforce. I think we did some collaboration with. We did a lot of collaboration. We actually haven't done anything specifically for Gary V's people, but have done some celebrity stuff. It's been really cool, higher end white glove service that we do this for. But there's a lot of things that I learned with this. The CEO of that company is absolutely amazing. I'm one of the 3 owners, and the CEO and we actually lived in Japan together. We were roommates for a day in Japan.
For a day.
For a day. We did a little sleepover, and we were hanging out together. Johnny Dinkle, shout out to you. But anyway, he's kind of the reason why I started this podcast. This podcast was like an experiment, honestly. The Mixing Music podcast started off as an experiment. But there's a reason. This is so funny to me because anytime we've talked about this, and I always say some of the same things. I'm very confident that when anybody that's listening right now, like, oh yeah, when you search for mixing music or audio production, I was the first podcast that came up, and that's why you listen to me. Yeah, that's not an accident. That was totally on purpose. We're the first result, and you don't have to scroll down. So that was definitely part of LaunchPod's doing. And there's a lot of different tactics around it and how we do it and how the algorithm works. So I want to talk a little bit about that, but I don't want to stay specifically about podcasts. I want to talk about the general concept of content marketing and how you can use it to gain more clientele and to have a bigger brand. And the reason why I think it is important is pretty, like Gary Vee says, and I don't care if you're a fan of him or not, he says a lot of really good things to at least think about. Is one of them, he says, creating and building your personal brand is more important than building your resume. So I think that's really, really important, and we're going to talk about why. Lou, I want to ask you,
Sure.
before we met, and then after we met, you know that I'm a big content marketing guy.
Yeah.
What have you noticed in your own personal things? I know that you've tried to do more content and different things, and we've done content for the studio. We've had some good things happen. Do you want to talk about some direct benefits and some non-direct benefits that you've seen from doing content with me in various different formats?
Sure. I mean, as you know, the majority of my income is still not necessarily based around the content creation. I feel like that's kind of a slower build side. Could be faster, depending on how much time and effort you put into it, but it's not something that I was accustomed to. So my personal growth on that is pretty slow because I just don't put too much time into it as much as others do.
But I mean, since we've done the podcast together,
no,
we
exactly.
did the YouTube channel.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I have noticed that I have people reaching out to me more. We get requests for like everything from reviews to mixing, mastering, things of that nature. And it's all because realistically, they found us through something that they actually enjoyed before knowing about us, which is like the podcast, right? When I came on, everybody really just kind of knew you and everything. And it was just kind of me coming on. I didn't really see any traction until a couple months later. And then at that point,
which is still really fast, actually.
Yeah, if you think about it, yeah, exactly. Which is why I was saying, like, it's kind of like a slow build thing, but that was already something that was structured and that you already had
for
going.
Over a year, I think, before you
exactly.
Started on, yeah.
So, like, that's why even to this day, like, anytime we're asked about it, it's like, well, that's DK's baby, because at the end of the day, it's something that you created and you've built. When I jumped on, it's obviously going to be a faster growth than starting from scratch, but my Instagram has actually grown up a lot, because I think when we started working together, I was only like at 1,300 followers. I think I'm like 22 now. But even though that doesn't sound like a dramatic rise, that's actually a pretty dramatic rise when you think about it in physical people.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 more people that are just watching you here and there.
And we're not even promoting our Instagrams like that.
No, we don't. Like, in fact, I think my Instagram is wrong on our podcast stuff. I think it still goes to the...
I changed it, I think. I thought I changed it.
I think it still shows Midside Sound from what I last checked. But it's either way. The point is, I actually reopened an account under the old name, and it's that one's still growing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's catching all the loose end followers, which is kind of funny because it started off at 0. It's currently at 400.
Yeah.
And I'm not actively posting on it.
So I think that followers and stuff, I'm going to say that it's not that important. And,
No, it's more about honest, organic followers.
Yeah. And here's another thing Gary Vee said is that he says the follower count, you shouldn't worry about it, but it is a good indication of the health of your brand. So if you have a lot of followers, that means your brand is being talked about a lot. It's healthy and it's current. It doesn't mean anything about, because you can have, like, there was an article that I read like a year ago where this influencer girl with like a couple million followers did some sort of sponsorship sale where she was like selling some sort of like bikini or something like that. I'm not like endorsement thing. And it sold, even though she had millions of followers, it sold 0 units. She sold 0 units. So the whole debate was, is influencer marketing even working? And where is it at? And was it fake followers? Kind of going into that debate. So I think, in that note, right? So Milan Blackbird on Twitch. Right now we're streaming on Twitch. Come join us, twitch.tv/DK Mixes. We're streaming every week, Monday at 2 p.m., but Pacific Standard Time. But one of those things that we're talking about is, I think 100 followers with 2 buyers, right, is more important than 2 million followers, right? So it's kind of this gentle balance here, although I think that there is something to be said about large blanket unfocused groups, and I think that there's value in that as well versus like super focused. All of my followers are males in the ages 18 to 26 category, and they're all music producers. Like that demographic, like the more specific your demographic is, the more it's worth. So for example, everybody listening right now, statistically speaking, it's mostly men. And then it's mostly high school to late 20s. Like that's most of the demographic there. Mostly engineers, producers, artists, songwriters. That's a very specific demographic that actually will cost a lot more. If someone wants to advertise with us, it costs Ozone more to advertise with us than it would cost them to advertise with a podcast that's much larger than us, but less specific to their brand.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like give and take here, but we're going back to this content marketing thing. Sorry, I'm a little bit loose in the head right now. I'm not quite fully focused yet, but I'm starting to zone in.
You're going big picture.
Yeah, I'm trying to slowly zone in and figure out the best way to think about this. So this is just free-flowing thoughts that we're slowly going to organize over time. But the most important barrier that you want to overcome as a producer, as an engineer, as an artist, the most important barrier, and I talk about this all the time, is the trust barrier.
Yeah.
You have to get people to trust you. When they hire you in person or over the phone or over email, regardless, the one common denominator, Lou, is trust. They trust you one way or another.
Which is why I've made so much money just doing in-person networking versus social media. I could have a much bigger follower count, yes, now than I did last year. But the reason that I continue to be hired more by in-person is because I focused a lot on building trust and relationships rather than, I guess, marketing to a specific niche market and saying, hire me. Because, I could say, that's not building trust at all. But the people who do know me, because of this, I'll get DMs all the time on social media, and I like to look at it as my resume. I could create a bunch of content and actually show that, hey, let me show you some tips and tricks. Hey, I'm available for lessons, this and that. But a lot of times when they find me on that, I found that it came from a recommendation. They checked out my Instagram and said, oh, this person actually knows what they're doing. They post content. They've got a lot going on, and it makes me look busy even when I'm not busy.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that a sense of or I guess you could say that illusion of how busy you are actually kind of ups your value too. So that social media look for me has always been more of a resume more than anything, which actually helps build trust.
Now, I'm not a fan of faking things, or like faking that you're busy is one thing. But that being said, you're actually busy. You're just documenting.
Yeah, I'm just documenting what I'm doing.
Great. And I think there's something said about that. So again, the main barrier that you want to overcome is trust. Now that's really easy to do, and this is why networking is so successful and works so well. Word of mouth is always the most. It doesn't matter what advertising or marketing agency or platform that you're marketing on. Word of mouth is the goal, right? If you're doing a billboard, word of mouth is the goal. Now, yeah, you want some direct conversion there, but you want word of mouth. You want people to be like, yo, I saw this person, because if Lou, even though Lou's never used a service, like let's say I need something. I need some graphic designing for an album art, right? Lou's never used the service, but he found someone on Instagram. He's like, yo, they've made some good art for some other people. You should check them out. And he tells me that. All of a sudden, I have a lot more trust for this person than if I discovered them myself.
Exactly.
Like, even though it's the same level of introduction, in fact, it's still, if it comes from Lou, then there's a general level of trust that starts with that. So again, we're breaking down trust. In person, obviously, really great way to build trust. This is why also when it comes to giving feedback and hanging out with people, I'm very strong. And one of my first episodes that we ever did of the podcast is talking about feedback. To put concisely, criticism is not helpful. Like, if you ever work with someone, give them feedback, the last thing that you want to do is saying, this record is good, but I could mix it better. Like, that criticism will actually build resentment and a lack of trust, no matter how right you are and how obvious it is. So never, ever, ever criticize. That's a really bad way of going about getting trust. The best way of getting trust is to put the best way possible is by giving value. Now, I think you're in the middle of reading this right now. I will, in this order, I want you to read these books in this order. If you're listening right now, you can find these books, the Amazon links. In fact, if you go to the Amazon links on mixingmusicpodcast.com and then go to the sponsors tab, you'll find like my book list. These 2 books are on the book list, right? And if you use those links from mixingmusicpodcast.com, we actually make a little bit of money. It's not very much, but we make something. So go ahead, and if you're going to buy it anyway, it costs you nothing. Go ahead and use that link. We really appreciate that for the support. But the first book that I will recommend, and I think this is one of the secrets to my success, and is The Go Giver. The book is called The Go Giver.
That's a good book.
Yeah, and I think you're like finishing it up.
Pretty much. It's actually at the studio. I don't know if you noticed. It's on my table.
Yeah. So this is it's a very short read. Honestly speaking, total, I think it's like 3 hours total of reading. It's not a very long book. It's really, really great. It's story format, so it's an actually interesting read. The reason why I bring this up, and the reason why I think this is important, actually, Lou, you, and me too, I think we embody the point of the story, which is that givers make more money and find more success than getters.
Yeah, by a long shot. Like, every time I've had a getter mentality, it just goes downhill.
And this happens often, like, when we're really broke and we need money.
Or when you've gotten comfortable and you start letting things slide.
And I think this is also like an energy thing, too. Like, when people come to us, for example, even a couple weeks ago when we met up with someone that was like, they want to collaborate with our studio.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
And, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it was all cool and dandy, and we spent the time to, like, meet up and network.
Networking is
but
important.
we can feel that he was there to take something. He wasn't willing to give anything. And immediately, Lou and I, we backed off, and we're like, nah. And he's like, give me your email. Let's follow through on this. No, I didn't even give him my email.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. It's gonna close doors for you, and you don't even have to read this book it doesn't take 200 IQ to understand this concept. It's very much like an energy thing. But Lou, describe to me what someone that gives looks like versus someone that takes. Like, coming to the studio, coming to you, talking to you, maybe some specific examples or general examples. What does that look like, and how do you react to that?
One thing I always recommend to people, which is what I used to do, is if you're looking to work with certain people, don't say you're trying to work, just say you're trying to help. The reality is this, it's not lying, just be honest with your intent of why you're trying to be there. But if you're there just to get paid, that's a whole different conversation than there to be a part of something. For instance, I used to want to work out of many studios, right? And if I couldn't actually just apply to get a paid gig, I'd actually just walk in and say, hey, I'd like to intern for you. And when they saw my resume, they'd always say, you know, like, why exactly do you want to go as an intern? Like, you're already working with certain people. Like, you could just apply for a paid position. I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather just prove that, what I can offer is worthwhile. So I don't mind starting from the bottom. I'd rather, get to know the room and show you guys my value before I ask for anything in return. The reality is I'm offering an extra hand, and they can actually appreciate that before me walking in saying like, so how much do you pay? And I got the internship every time. And every time it was time to leave, they would hire me after, because it really just came down to wanting to give before I actually asked for anything in return.
So I'm just writing down notes because there's something that I want to.
Yeah. But a lot of times, like even at the studio, when we look for interns and everything, we've had conversations where people will say, so like, how long does it take to become like a paid position? It's like, okay.
No, that's a great question.
No,
and
the question is great, but it's how they follow it up once you give them an answer.
Yeah. So I think
so.
The
It's
way,
like, if it on average it takes less than a year, but they say, okay, so what is that, like 3 months, 6 months, this and that? It's like, okay.
So the book specifically says, that's a great question. How much is it going to pay? Is a great question to ask, but it's the wrong first question.
Exactly.
So that's how it is. And to be honest, like let's say I'm an artist. No, let's say you're an artist and I'm the engineer.
I am an artist.
And there you go. But you're the artist. I'm the engineer. You're looking to potentially work with me. If before we even talk about your music, and before we even vibe, I start talking about money, that's gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
Honestly, because most of the time, these artists, these producers, whoever you're working with and collaborating with, they want to know that you're on their team first and foremost.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. They want to know that, do you trust me? Do you like my music? Do you believe in this project? And oftentimes, I'm hired as a mixer not really to mix, but I'm paid to be a professional fan and a critic where I'm saying, yes, this is good enough. Like people will be like, I'm good with the money. I'm good with the price. I'm good with everything. I just want to know if you fuck with my music.
Yeah. Half the time, that's the question I get in the middle of a session. Like, do you fuck with it?
And I've literally lost a couple clients because I did not say yes enthusiastically enough.
Oh yeah, no. See, I think I've
Because
like
I actually
apologized
did it.
to you many times for this. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry if I don't emote properly.
No.
No. But that's the thing. When I'm in the middle of a session with a client, they're like, "Do you fuck with my music?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." Like I really do. I'm not the kind of guy that's like, "Fuck yeah, bro." Yeah. So that gets in my way sometimes.
So I think that's important, right? So that's one of the ways of building trust. And anyway, so go read the Go Giver.
Yeah.
And it is very much like about giving. And one of the things that it talks about is the more that you give, the more you will increase your income. For example, just this is one of the specific examples it gave. The main character walked into an office. There was a bunch of CEOs and a bunch of they walked into a company office, and the company was online courses. They did some sort of like online course teaching thing, and they had millions of users. And they talked about this concept: scaling how much you can give value scales your income. And the specific thing was, I used to be a teacher, and I used to be broke because I was a teacher, right? An elementary school teacher can really only, middle school teacher, depending on the middle school, can only teach 30 kids a year, right? Maybe in high school it's a few hundred because you're in the same room and the students move around every period, right? In college, obviously these professors get paid more. They're serving more people, right? Potentially thousands, but it's still limited to thousands. And then this lady's like, obviously my income increased multiple times over when I changed how much I gave, the value that I gave, to now reach millions, and it doesn't have a cap. The cap is the number of people on this planet, potentially, right? I mean, you're not going to get that because all those people, they may not be able to afford it, or that you may not be in the right demographic for them. They're not interested in education, whatever. But the point is, there is no limit. And so she gives value at a scalable way, and her income is going to reflect it. I think that's like a really, really great example. For example, even with this podcast, I'm going to tell you right now, if I give one-on-one coaching lessons, which is a very common thing, right? A piano teacher that gives one-on-one lessons may make a decent amount of money per hour, right? But if you can make an app or a program that can teach students piano, and there is no time constraint, there is no geographic constraint, and you've set it up for all the levels, and of course that's going to take time to do.
Yeah.
But if you can functionally, your income is going to increase multiple times over by the amount of people you can serve. So, for example, even with In the Mix Studios, right? A good example of In the Mix Studios. We did this, and one way that we did this practically is that we had Shane Lance come through, and we did a seminar about mixing and about Shane Lance. He's big on TikTok. I think close to 150,000 followers on TikTok. We only had 13 seats available in the studio, but we were able to live stream it. And although it was only a few extra people on the live stream, we actually gained a couple clients. And even with so I don't want to get off tangent here too much, but it's definitely about the amount that you serve. And I want to emphasize this because, yes, you should do one-on-one lessons. Yes, you should serve your community. Yes, you should do open mic nights, which is more scalable than one-on-one lessons where you can invite, 20 to 50 people, maybe more, depending on the size of your venue. But you need to think about how scalable your value is, right? The podcast is a great way to start. YouTube. Gary Vee talks about how you should only do content based on your DNA, like what you want to do. Some people don't want to put their face on a screen, right?
Yeah.
And have a hard time doing it. We know a lot of people like that.
Me.
Yeah, and I forced you to kind of get over it.
It's okay. Selena got me used to singing in front of people.
And how has that been for you, actually? I think that's another thing.
I just got hired to do talkbox on another song and everything.
No. I'm sorry. How has being brave and overcoming your fear of putting your face on camera been?
It's actually been kind of cool because it's just, once again, I found that Twitch, oddly enough, builds more trust than any other platform. But you have to be willing to put yourself on camera for at least an hour, at least once a week, which can be nerve-wracking, and I never know what to say or do with my hands or feet.
Yeah, and Lou is on Twitch every Monday at 6 p.m., twitch.tv/Mastered by Lou.
Yeah. And that's kind of the cool thing, though. Like, I've actually gotten to hang out with a few people, just show things that I'm working on. Like, today I'll be mixing Gaiton's record. And then I have, like, a revision session with him tomorrow. But the cool thing is, like, it's helping out a lot of people, And because of that, people are actually DMing me like, hey, I'm actually interested in the lessons.
Yeah. And I think that that's important, too. I've done a decent job of monetizing my audience. I could be doing a much better job at monetizing.
I've done a
that's
terrible job
right now. But I think at least having the audience is the first step. So going on to that, so we're over kind of the theory, right? Why we want to build an audience, and we build trust. We do it through building trust and giving value. Giving value and providing value is the best way to build trust with people that you've never met, that people that don't know you, that won't have word of mouth. The only way you can get anybody that doesn't know you in person, word of mouth, is by giving them value some way over the internet. So even if that means making Instagram reels, if that's TikTok, if that's podcasts, if that's audiobooks, if that's PDFs, whatever the hell, it doesn't matter. Whatever is natural to you, you should do it, and you should do it consistently. Consistency is huge, and part of this is part of our analytics and our proprietary data that we created with Launchpod Media. We even did a case study with something as I may have talked about this in a previous episode. Is Ben Shapiro was a good case study where his podcast was doing really, really well, but he was releasing episodes Monday through Friday at various times. Sometimes it was 6 a.m., sometimes it was 2 p.m., sometimes it was 8 p.m., but he would post every day, but at different times. There's a point where his analytics just skyrockets. Like his download rates and everything just through the roof started soaring. And the only thing that he did different was he started posting 6 a.m. Eastern time every day, the same exact time. Consistency and just the time of the day that he posted. Numbers skyrocketed. So consistency is a huge part of this. You should be posting every single day some basic things at the very minimum. If you decide that you're going to do this, and if anybody's following me on Instagram, you'll notice that I'm doing this too. I'm posting Instagram Reel once a day, and I'm taking that content and I'm reposting it onto YouTube Shorts, and I'm reposting it onto TikTok. So I only make one content, but it's on 3 different places. I have 3 tweets that's going out every single day. I have a YouTube video once a week. I go live on Twitch 3 times a week. We have the podcast. I have a children's book. I have PDFs. I have various different things, right? That we're
At what point
out.
do you poop?
I don't. And but the point is, you should be making content, and with the purpose of giving value. Now, there's in this category of stuff. There's many more beyond this, but in the music world, depending on who it is, as an artist or as an engineer, I'm going to focus on 3 different ways. 2 of them are subcategories of one. So one is educational content. You give them value by teaching someone something. And number 2 is entertainment. Entertainment is a highly valuable way of giving value as well. But people, underestimate that. As an artist, I would say that this is your number one way. You don't want to be, Russ is like one of the only artists that gives value via education. But I wouldn't say that that's the reason why he's successful. So like, even if you're like being funny on TikTok and has nothing to do with music, I've talked about this before. One of the biggest, one of my clients, well, not yet a client, but one of my friends, his name is Hippio Tech on YouTube. He grew from 100,000 followers to 300,000 followers in a single year last year. He grew fast growing YouTube channel. He's a keyboard channel.
Mm-hmm.
During the year, he decided, because his hobby became a job with YouTube, he wanted to find another creative outlet. He started writing music. Okay, the dude has 300,000 YouTube subscribers about keyboards, but he's got more monthly listeners and more downloads on Spotify than any local artist that I've worked with. Like,
wait, you're talking about keyboards?
This, like, on my desk, like mechanical keyboards.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not piano keyboards, mechanical typing keyboards.
I was about to say, like, that's a pretty, like, one degree to the right change if it was like musical keyboard.
No. It's a big jump. It's a weird jump. And he's been able to turn that into an actual listener base, right? So even though it wasn't actually about music, he was still able to create a platform where he turned
Was he
it
doing
into
ASMR before?
No, well, typing tests just to kind of hear what it sounds like, but it wasn't ASMR. It was he just talked about keyboards and how to build them. It was pretty generic. It's awesome stuff. But anyway, the point is you got to build content. And as an artist, I would argue that you don't have to have it be educational. Now, as a producer, and the way that I've been doing it, I've definitely doing a lot of educational stuff. There's two different ways. This is, by the way, secrets that I was giving on my one-on-one lessons that I provide. Don't ask me if I'm offering any more spots. I'm not at the moment. But there's one of the questions was by one of my students, but DK, I don't feel comfortable about giving lessons myself. I don't feel like I'm good enough at giving lessons and talking publicly, giving tips about this craft, about mixing or mastering, right? And I think that that's a really valid point. There's actually a second subcategory, how you can give educational content without being super expert, being an expert in the field, which I do recommend becoming an expert in the field, but I think this is actually just as valuable, if potentially not more valuable, is the curation of information. Mm-hmm. So if I were to say, I think you should do this, I think I should do this, there's some value in that. But if I said, Lou says you should do this, Jason Joshua says you should do this, Tony Maserati does this, Manny Mariquin does this, Big Boy, Wonder Boy does this, and Kenny Beats does this.
I mean, what if Big Boy does do that?
Anyway, I messed up on the producer name there. But that is just as valuable, if not more valuable, especially in the beginning stage, because right now we're an authority. Mm. It's taken time, but we have become the authority. I forced us to become authorities.
Can I use my authority?
Yeah, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know. But in the early stages, if you're, I don't want to say nobody because everybody's a somebody. But if you have no platform, I think it's great to start off saying, building credibility by curating information. And that is extremely valuable no matter how big or small you are. You do not have to be Joe Rogan big. You do not have to be Kenny Beats big to provide any value. Jason Joshua big to provide value. You can just curate it, which is a really great way of doing that.
You know, my favorite thing to say is I know everybody listening knows who we are or something of us, but my favorite thing is when people are like, oh, so what do you do for a living? It's like, oh, I'm an engineer. They're like, oh, okay, so like you work for the city? It's like, no, I work in music. They're like, really? Can I look you up somehow? It's like, yeah, just look up the Mixing Music podcast. They're like, oh, you do a podcast, so you like talk about stuff? I was like, oh man, that's right. We're such a niche thing, aren't we? But the cool thing is, the people that are listening are the ones that found value in this. There's so many people who may not find value in it in your circle right away, but you'd be surprised. Even if you're helping 5 or 6 people, those 5 or 6 people actually got something out of it, and eventually with time they'll grow. Like when we first started, together, we were at what? I think it was like 80,000 downloads, 90,000 downloads, like August 2020. Now we're in 2022 and we're at 350,000.
By the way, if you start a podcast and you're not hitting that number because that was at the end of the first year, that is a crazy number to hit in the first year. The average, I think right now for like starting podcasts, the average downloads after a year is 26.
And we're at 350 in what, 2-3 years?
2.5. We're not even at 3 years. We have 250,000. And there's a graph. it's exponential. So the reason why people quit with any sort of media marketing, with TikTok, with Instagram, with podcasts, with books, anything, first off, you're going to find a little bump at the beginning, a bump of viewership at the beginning, because your friends and family are going to be like, oh, that's cool, you're starting a new project, I'm going to support. They're not actually fans. I'm going to be serious with you right now. Your friends and family are not your fans.
In fact, they're probably the least likely to promote you. I'm just saying, my mom
stages,
posted about me once, and I felt like a kid in high school going to prom.
Some moms are super promotional.
Yeah.
It's annoying. Anyway.
But yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, how many times have people posted about Rihanna's baby and not about your business?
Yeah, they're not fans of the content that you're making. They're fans of you, which is different.
Yeah.
But you're going to see a little bump in the beginning, and then it's going to make you feel really good. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, me Twitch streaming and me making this podcast, it's working. And then you're immediately going to see a huge dip and basically be back at zero because they're going to stop watching. None of my friends and family watches my live stream and sits down and watches me for 2 hours straight. Yet there's a bunch of people on this Twitch stream right now that are here every single time I stream, and they're here for hours. Noah, I'm calling you out.
Yeah, Noah. I'll see you later, Noah.
There's a bunch of people that do that, and for me, it blows my mind, right? I don't know why Noah believes in me or in this concept so much. I mean, granted, I think I do know what I'm doing. But at the same time, like, it kind of blows my mind if you think about it in that perspective, right?
Remember I was saying earlier about the idea of, like, how many people, if you were to put it into physical bodies, are actually there? Imagine 14 people just staring at you for 2 hours.
Yeah, like, anyway. But
I'm just saying, like, that's already a good enough number of people staring at me to make me nervous.
So anyway, so the quality goes up. People are going to start following you slowly, bit by bit, but it's exponential. 1 times 2 is 2, right? 1,000,000 times 2 is a whole million. It's an extra million, right? So it's exponential. What you're going to see with your listeners, a small bump at the beginning, then you're going to get really depressed. And most people quit during this period. For the first year and a half, it's usually not till the second year. The end of the second year where things really start blowing up. Even with the Mixing Music podcast, it didn't really start blowing up. Our monthly downloads, we're in the top 1% of all podcasts according to weekly and monthly downloads. Like, how many people download our podcast once a week, in a single week and in a single month. But we didn't become in the top 1% until recently. So, like, now we're hitting, like, we hit 300,000 downloads. We hit 350,000 downloads really fast because now we're on the S curve. It's exponential. It was dip. It was really slow. And then, phew, it just goes up. So people tend to quit too early and way too early. You have to give it at least 2 years. And 2 years is fast, first off.
I mean, to be honest, we started the studio, a year and a half ago now?
Yeah. And now we're like a year and a half ago, and now we're starting to see some consistency with clientele without huge promotional effort.
Actually, I'd say minimal.
Yeah, and we've done quite a bit.
No, we've done quite a bit, but back then we were trying to post every day, trying to get anybody to come through, and it was a lot of friends. But like you said, there was that little dip. And then we noticed that all the people that stuck around were actually people who actually saw the value in the business and everything. Yeah.
And it grew from there. So I do want to say that that's extremely important. Anyway, going back to the topic here, you got to build trust. And I know that some people are thinking right now, okay, I give all the time. I'm a giver. I'm giving, but somehow people just aren't willing to pay for my services. I feel like they're not giving back the value that they have. 2 thoughts on that. One, I definitely think there's a story. I'm gonna try to briefly tell. It's been a while since I told this story, but I'm gonna try to say it succinctly. A man was moving. 2 people were moving. 2 men were moving into a new city. The first person outside of the new city stopped by a farmer outside of the new town, and he talked to the farmer and said, "I'm moving from this old town, coming into this new town. Can you tell me what the people are like in this new city?" And the farmer said, "I don't know. What were people like in where you came from?" And he said, "Oh, they were rude. They were gross. They were mean." And he said, "Oh, that's what the people are like in this town." The second person comes in, asks the same question to the farmer, and the farmer asks him the same way, "What are people like in your town?" And he said, "They're kind, they're wonderful, they're very gracious." And then he told him, "That's what the people are like in this town." So I really do believe if you're looking to get screwed, if you believe people are going to screw you over, you will. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You attract who you're looking for, even if it's unintentionally. And it's hard because people have been hurt and there has been trauma, obviously, business-wise. People have done unethical things. But at the same time, you shouldn't be afraid of it. Fear is something. If you live with fear, you're not living at all. I don't think you should fear anything. But at the same time, you should be aware. You should be cautious. You should practice judgment, but you shouldn't fear. And that's a different thing. And the second note on that is, yes, you may sometimes get screwed over, but that comes with the territory. Being defensive to begin with doesn't mean you're not going to get screwed over, and being screwed over has value in itself too. You know how much money some people would pay to be screwed over 10 years earlier than they did 10 years later? If I got screwed over now, or maybe in 5 years from now, if you got screwed over now versus you got screwed over when you were 22, now it would hurt you a lot more. It would cost you a lot more money.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's valuable. I think getting screwed is a valuable learning experiment.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people say it's like, oh, I took so many L's. It's like, no, you got a lot of learning experience.
Yeah, you don't take L's, you just learn.
Yeah. I took a learn.
But anyway, going back to this, what was I saying? Yes, people will get screwed. With receiving. I want to talk about receiving because receiving is a big part of the book, which I really do recommend you read The Go-Giver. It's one of my favorite books of all time. One of the secrets to success here is you got to be, part of receiving is also being open, or part of giving is also being open to receiving. For example, a tree and human breathing. When we breathe in oxygen. We breathe out the crap this crap that we think is crap, the carbon dioxide. We exhale carbon dioxide, right? What do trees breathe? Carbon dioxide. And they poop out. Their crap is oxygen, right? We are together. We have mutual interests. What my trash is the human's source of life, or the tree's source of life. The human's trash is the tree's source of life, and vice versa. This is a really great way. In order to receive and to monetize, you have to be open to receiving. Just like we breathe in, we give. And even if the book specifically says, if the doctor tells you that inhaling is healthier than exhaling, you can't stop exhaling. You know what I'm saying? You can't be inhaling forever. So just like with breathing, just like the example with the trees, giving doesn't mean you only give. It means that you are also open. And this is important. I think a lot of people have a hard time with this. When things start going right, when someone gives you an opportunity, they say, I'm willing to pay for this. A lot of us right now, we're not assertive enough to say, yes, you're going to pay for this. We're all concerned and say, no, this one's on me. I think we do that too much. I'm not saying give me my money, but oftentimes we cock block ourselves.
Yes.
Have you had that experience?
Yes. I like to be very kind. I like to be very open and understanding. But kind of like our conversation earlier today where I'm like, hey, we need to charge so-and-so. Certain things cannot fly. I feel like a big part of what happens with us is that we want people to like us. We want to seem flexible in our business. I think we want to seem like a giver even when it's time to, receive. But we're going to end up shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't learn to ask for what, was deserved.
Yeah. So I think that openness is not taking. Openness to receiving is not taking, but I think it is being open that when you give, things will want to give back. And here's the thing. This is the important thing. And this is part of the converting your audience. People listening to the podcast right now, or watching the Twitch stream, or watching the YouTube videos, or somehow we have been giving them value. I'm the Don Corleone of this realm, right? Of this podcasting, music podcast realm. People want to give me back. No. People are like, they've received so much value that they feel like they owe me favors, right? People feel like they owe me favors. And people cannot become bigger fans. For example, there's a whole marketing psychology of why would we defend Nike or think so highly of Nike? The more you spend on a brand, the more you start to defend and are proud of that brand.
Yeah.
If I start spending a lot of money on Supreme, then I will be like, yeah, I'm a buyer of Supreme, right? That is part of the buying psychology. There's a Supreme box.
There's over there too.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Supreme stuff. Anyway,
Supreme D.
In order to convert your fans into even bigger fans, part of that is getting them to spend money on you. And it's not taking. They want to spend money on you. There are people on this podcast right now that have straight up donated me money because they're like, I'm a big fan. I feel like you've done me so much. Please take this donation. Just take it. They want to spend money. And then in return, they become bigger fans and I'm able to give them more value. So part of this thing as well, we want to be very clear about this. This open to receiving is that if you do not create ways for people to give you money, then you are losing out on higher quality fans and income. It is double negative. You're not providing more value by continuing to do things for free. Now, if you shut everything down and then paywall everything, now no, they can't access anything. That's a different story. But you should have some way that these people can pay you back. You're doing them a fucking favor. And I try not to swear too much on the podcast, but I really wanted to
I was about to
emphasize
say,
you are doing people a favor. I'm serious.
No, I know, but
It's-
it's like, oh, DK, oh, so forceful. Oh, be gentle with me.
And I think that this is really important, and this is where conversion comes into play. Is that like in 2019 there was a podcast statistic. I know this is old now, but in 2019, or maybe it was 2020, the 63% of podcast listeners purchase something recommended by one of their hosts every 3 months. So if you're a podcast listener right now, by the way, that says a lot about you. Being a podcast listener, also statistically speaking, shows that you're more open-minded, that you're quick to accept new technology, that you're more intelligent. Typically speaking, that you're at least somewhat college educated. Actually, statistically speaking, that you're definitely college educated and typically have a degree of some kind. There's a lot. Actually, it's a compliment that you're a podcast listener. So good on you for being smart. Is the first thing that I want to say.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, and but I really sorry, I got really off tangent here. Off topic here. What was I saying?
Building trust is always a big thing, but
No, hold on, wait.
that was the main core topic.
But you want to have set up ways that people can pay you money, right?
Yeah.
So with converting of audience, is that what I was talking about? I think that's what I was
Yes,
talking
because
about.
you were talking about paywalls.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
the converting of audience, you have to figure out, this is part of the way that you convert your audience and how you make money from this stuff. They now trust you. They're like, oh my gosh, this person could probably do a good job mixing for me. Now you have to widen your net, open your net. You don't have to force anyone through the door. You have to just open the door and, more importantly, tell people that the door is there. This is a pretty common sales story. In an interview with a CEO, the salesperson walks in looking to be hired as a salesman. The CEO said, how would you convince someone that doesn't want our product to then want our product? And the salesperson said, I wouldn't. And the CEO's like, why? Why wouldn't you? That's part of the salesperson's job. No, I find that I'm more effective and I'm a better salesman. And instead of converting people into customers, that I take people that are already interested and I sell them what they need, not convince them that they need it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and you having sales background,
Yep.
that makes total sense.
Actually, I almost pulled trigger on the book yesterday, but I'm going to buy the digital copy because the physical copy was just too expensive. You know the book Sell or Be Sold?
No, I don't know that one. I thought
I read it almost 10 years ago, and I was like, you know what? I want this book again. It was such a good book. But
Yeah.
basically the whole mentality of like, part of what the book talks about too is you can't sell a product you don't honestly believe in.
talk about that. This is also a long time ago. Maybe not 10 years ago, maybe like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But I read Ogmandino's Greatest Salesman in the World, which is like an hour read. It's super short.
No,
like a
this thing
one-day
is like
read.
300 pages.
No, yeah, this one was like a day read.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you don't have, sales becomes easier. And for people that are not as assertive, which is a lot of creatives that are very high in open-mindedness,
Yeah.
not less assertive, right? This is easier for you. All you have to do, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to relieve you of your fear of sales by saying you don't have to do sales. You just have to open the door. All you have to do is give call to actions. Hey, I'm available for mixing. That's all you have to do. That's really all you have to do. I mean, you can become more forceful if you want to, but at the very least, you create value and open the door.
I believe you do this on your website. I know I just recently did this on mine. Acuity is a great help for people who don't like the hard pitch, but rather the soft pitch. If you leave, like you said, open the door. If you were to go to my website, you can find the mixing, mastering, consultations, lessons, all that kind of stuff. But you can select your own days. You can see whatever's available on the calendar. I believe that's how your website works as well for some of your services.
My mixing services, it's all quote based, so it's
Yeah.
a little bit more tedious.
Mine, you can just choose from the calendar.
We can talk about user experience on a different day.
Yeah.
But
But I don't have to pitch it. If they want it and they want to do it later, they don't have to get in contact. If some people don't like the communication before.
I think the better way of putting this too is when you post something at the end, for example, all of my reels right now on TikTok or on Instagram that I'm doing, it's really awesome. I'm not really like super salesy about listen to the podcast, but at the very end, after that clip is over, it says, come check me out on the podcast. Link in my bio.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to Acuity.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think what I'm talking about here. So for example, it's like leading people to that. That's like your closer. People can close, self-close, soft close via your Acuity. But it's the fact that people right now don't even know that you have an Acuity.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the problem. Is more about people just need to know that you're selling something, that you have a way that you can that people can pay for your services. So this is why on all of my reel, even on the podcast, it's very important that we say Amazon books, that we have the Amazon affiliate stuff. We have our sponsors talking about that. We have to pitch our sponsor. Talking about that. We have to pitch our sponsor real quick. But all of this stuff, we talk about it very often. There's a call to action with all of this. And you should constantly do a call to action. You don't have to do crazy things. Just let them know that you exist, that you're looking, that you're able to do work. Now, I want to be careful and say I don't think that you should start acting like you're looking for work, because desperation isn't a good look. But that's definitely important to widen the net. As an artist, that would mean, yeah, you could put your music on DistroKid, but it doesn't automatically put it onto SoundCloud. It can automatically put it onto YouTube, but not on your own page, right? On your own channel. Doesn't put it on Twitch. Doesn't do a bunch of different things. Bandcamp. It doesn't put it onto various other sources. Taking the extra hour and putting your music on every single platform, your biggest, largest audience is not going to be on Bandcamp. It may not be on SoundCloud. But if you don't put it up on those different services, you're losing potential audiences.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of widening the net.
Yeah.
Showing more people, putting up more signs that the door exists, right? Anyway, I'm going on a big tangent on that. Content creation is absolutely important, and I would love to do an interview episode with Shane about how he's done it, because Shane Lance, that we talked about earlier, has also said that his clientele count has exploded, and quality has also exploded since he started making TikToks. And I think that if you want to find clients online or in person, give value, give as much as you possibly can. Read that book, and then also read Crush It by Gary Vee, the first one. Read Go Giver first. Crush It is a little bit more practical. Go Giver is more theoretical. Read Go Giver, read Crush It, and then make content. You should. It doesn't matter what it is. If you don't like to be in front of a camera, then make PDFs and give those PDFs out online for free in exchange for an email, and then send out weekly emails saying, this is my favorite free plugin that I found this week. Also, you can hire me here. Last thing that I want to talk about briefly is actually the audience, who you are as the audience. Mm-hmm. One of the bad examples of Mixing Music Podcast, if I were looking for clients for mixing, then I should have made a production and songwriting podcast. Yeah. My podcast, your audience, and I want to be clear with this, your audience is not your peers. So this is why I recommended Lou to go, hey, just like full-on go mastering mode. So that's why Lou is now full-on mastering engineer, and you can hire Lou's mastering, because this is a mixing podcast. Granted, I've curated the content to be more for producers and artists as well. It's for everybody, so it's not too bad. And it's been beneficial because now I've become somewhat of an authority on the subject, which is hilarious to me again. But this is converting. You want to make sure that your audience is who's going to pay for your stuff. Your audience is not your peers. Your audience is not your family. Your audience is not your friends.
Yeah.
Remind yourself of who your audience is that are most likely to buy your stuff. As a mastering engineer, that would probably be mixers, maybe artists, maybe producers, but probably mixers.
I actually get a lot more artists than I get engineers.
There you go. Boom. So remember who that is. As a mixer, it's probably not going to be mastering engineers, and it's definitely not going to be other mixing engineers.
Yeah.
Right. Very rarely. So, as an artist, who's your audience? That's going to be harder to define. But your audience, if you're making hyperpop stuff, your audience is probably not past 35 years old, and your audience is probably not younger than 16-year-olds, and they're probably going to be European and American, not, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's slowly you can categorize them and figure out who your audience is, so you can, this goes into advertising and like demographics and stuff, but we're not going to talk about that. But it's important to know who your audience is so you can cater to that audience.
I have a very unique audience because of the whole mastering thing. Plus, the Twitch stream is a lot of mixing because mastering doesn't really do well on Twitch in general.
I mean, even your personal audience, you've also built studios, you've done
Yeah.
live sound. You have quite a bit of pretty expansive experience.
Yeah, I've got 3 concerts this weekend.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and I have. It's weird. It's a pretty full week. I told Anna, I'm like, I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah, weird. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Damn. On that note, quick shout out from our sponsor. We're very, very, very grateful for them to be our sponsor. You want to say the sponsor this time, Lou?
Sure. Shout out to Isotope for sponsoring the Mixing Music podcast. I really, really love Ozone on my mastering chain. Especially that low end focus. The dynamic EQ on it is really nice. And you know what I've been using more lately?
Tell me.
The Spectral Shaper, I think it's called. It's actually really nice. If you got tracks with like a really harsh top end, like that thing is actually really good at smoothing it out without
I've never
being
tried that
dull. Dude, it's good. It's good. And if you go to mixingmusicpodcast.com and you want to get the trial and you want to get it extended for up to a month, just use MMPod10, I believe it's called, right?
Yeah, so it's MMPod10 is the code.
Mm-hmm.
Go to isotope.com/MMPodcast.
Yep.
So one more time, that's isotope.com/MMPodcast. You can get 10% off. They give you a code for 10% off of any Isotope products, or it extends through the link there. You can extend your
trial run from 1 week to a month.
Yeah, so instead of doing 7 months of trial period for their plugins, you can do a 30-day trial period, which is awesome.
Well, to be clear, 7 days, not 7 months.
7 days to a 1 month, sorry.
Yeah. I was
7
about
days
to
to
say,
30
like,
days,
wait
yeah.
a minute. You telling me that I could go backwards? I love it. No, but honestly, Isotope is great. Shout out to Lawton Audio. We use 208s whenever we're recording and everything. And to be honest, it's the
We
number
sound
one
great.
mic. Yeah, it's the number one mic I recommend to people when they're recording from home. If you're ever looking for a deal with them, just hit me up and I'll get you guys tied in with some people that can help you out.
At Mastered by Lou. Yeah, and just go to mixingmusicpodcast.com
Yeah,
and check
just
out
hit
our
us up.
sponsors list. The Isotope link is also there, mixingmusicpodcast.com, and check out our sponsors list. Hang out with us. We're available again on Twitch. Lou is streaming every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I stream every Monday at 2 p.m. for the podcast, and Thursday for mixing, and Friday mornings for Mix Feedback Fridays.
Yep.
And then social media, blah, 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 all that jazz. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, always feel free to DM us on Instagram. That's probably the best way. Or join our Discord. We have links to our Discord. We try to answer all the questions that are on Discord as much as possible. If we don't answer it, there's probably somebody else that will, because we have over 570 other producers and engineers in that Discord group server right now. Again, that link is available via mixingmusicpodcast.com. All right. So on that note, please be brave. Make content, build your brand. That is going to be the biggest ROI ever. It's a long-term game. Please do so. So whatever is good for you, study. There's so much more analytics that I can go into and specific things that will increase your listenership. But I think that it's more important, this idea of getting started and staying consistent, because most people don't start and most people don't stay consistent. And honestly, the only reason why you're here right now is probably because I've done nothing else other than be consistent. And that's incredible. That's really weird to say. And I don't have big credits like Manny Marroquin or Jason Joshua. Granted, they're like at the top of the top. But somehow I still have a decent authority in this world. And I've been able to, because of the authority, I've been able to get a lot of bigger clients and bigger stuff. It's only been helpful. It can't hurt you. It can only be helpful. If it does hurt you, it was hurtful to your friends and family that were only there to see the pictures of you and your babies and your dogs. Not,
At that point, just focus on Facebook.
Yeah. So this is really important. I can't emphasize how important this episode was. On that note, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy. Nice. I did not record this episode. A video.
Not on video.
I didn't record the video,
Yeah.
so now I have to go back on Twitch and freaking.
Wait, but you know how to just stream and not record the actual graphics and everything, right?
No. What I do is I just download it because YouTube will automatically leave
Save,
archives of past streams, so I just download the archive. So now
You
I have
don't
to
leave them
download
on-
the entire.
You don't
hour
leave
and a
them
half
on
video.
Twitch?
Oh, it does stay on Twitch for a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
It's not indefinitely. Where on YouTube it's indefinitely. Talking about that. Wait a second.
Okay.
Sorry. I didn't find the right one. I was gonna do my tag, but then I realized Lou's here too, so we have to do Lou and DK, Lou and DK, Lou and DK on the mix, bitch.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna go to the studio and record my tag for that.
Do you have a tag?
I do actually, and I like to put it on tracks that have not been paid for yet, just so it's like.
Is that your tag?
No, el sonidito. No, it's my friend Dez. Shout out to Dez. She just goes mid-side sound, and it's actually really cool because I like putting it in the most annoying spot in the mix, so that it's like, hey, I haven't been paid, and I did the mix anyway, so it's gonna have the tag until you pay, and it's gonna be at all the most climactic parts.
Yeah.
Every single one. So you can't just like copy and paste a certain section and not have it there. You will have my friend Dez on your track. She will be the feature artist, and my company name will be there. Wow,
Did you send in a backward logo? Is that a backward logo, Linhart? Linhart always be using points to modify our...
That reminds me. I was going to use a point. Let me see here. Okay. Click this one.
This is so funny to me. There you go.
That's right. Oh, wait. Can you even see what I did?
Master by Lou redeemed. Hydrate. Well, I don't have any I don't have any water next to me right now. Damn.
Because both of us drink caffeine, which is not hydrating at all.
Hey, it's hydrating my mind. Anyway, that's it for today. I think we're only going to do one episode. Now I'm going to edit a couple episodes.
Oh my God, the googly face.
Now I'm going to edit a couple episodes and then release them on the podcast for tomorrow. The podcasts come out every Tuesday. If you're listening today and this was your first time listening to the podcast, you can check out the podcast, !podcast. We have over 160 episodes, almost 160 episodes of content of various forms, super technical stuff about how to use compressors and super non-technical stuff. So please check that out. If you're interested, it's really great stuff. It's free. It's totally awesome. It's a podcast. If you listen to it, you're smart. That's the only thing that you should have gotten out of the last episode. Podcast listeners are statistically speaking smarter than average.
They speak smarter.
Yes.
They're statistically speaking smarter.
And listening dumber. And has Lou ever done sing mode?
No, and I would only do it if I had a talk box, because then that would make it
Lou
fun.
doesn't like singing. So if you turn on, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't mean to be a party pooper, but if you turned on sing mode, it'll only probably be me singing.
Yeah, and if I do sing, if you have children, be ready to have to change their diapers. It's like the brown note, but for babies. Yeah.
Look up the brown note. Watch the Mythbusters episodes. It's funny.
Wait, did they attempt the brown note? Did they bust the myth?
Also, do y'all see this keyboard? I'm sorry. I'm gonna look at that. Look at that right angle. The right angle cable with the purple keycaps. The keycaps in the middle have
Orange?
like a hot pink. It's like a salmon pink orange lettering with teal accents.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Lavender and darker purple. Yes.
When you were in high school, did you ever wear
Purple underwear?
salmon?
No, I was a hot pink dude. Everything that I wore was
Okay,
hot
cool.
pink.
All
Like
right,
bright
yeah.
pink. I was a flamingo. Or peacock.
At one point, I had a pink shirt that I just wore whenever I wanted to, and people were like, yo, bro, like, why are you wearing pink? I'm like, it's fine. He's like, okay. But then I'd see other people like, oh, nice pink shirt. And they'd be like, it's salmon. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's pink.
No, I definitely wore pink, like really lots of pink. It was just my thing.
Good way to attract bears. Yes. Wait. What kind of bears? Because I do have a story about a bear interaction in West Hollywood.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Bears in West Hollywood.
Yeah, they were growling at me on the dance floor.
I thought you were going to say
in
something
my
about
ear.
Anna. Like some Anna and Lou sexy time bear things.
No, that technically wouldn't socially make sense. But I did have my own encounter with a bear. And he was aggressive.
Damn.
Yeah. I got to say, I was flattered. I was definitely flattered. I wasn't scared or mad or anything.
Bear, or was it like some buff Russian dude?
It was like He was buff.
Oh, so it was a dude.
He was a dude. He was like a bulky buff dude with a giant beard, and he literally went into my ear and went.
Literally.
Rawr.
I thought you had a literal bear encounter in West Hollywood
No, apparently I attract bears in Hollywood.
at a gay bar.
Yeah, I what is it called? The Abbey, which apparently is not entirely just a gay bar, but apparently I went on a gay night with my friends, and yeah, we didn't realize what was going on.
That's so flattering.
It was. It literally was flattering. It was one of those like, yo, I'm not even mad. Like, I'm not down, but I'm not mad.
Like, I don't know a better compliment of like
Somebody
it's
growling
like,
in your ear.
Like if a gay dude flirts with me, I'm like, oh, am I that put together?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Am I that organized looking right now? Like,
Yeah, like low key.
Do I have my shit together?
Do
right
you know
now?
anybody
Like,
do you know anybody that parties harder than a gay dude? Or has a better put together house?
or has better taste? Oh, let's
yeah, is like more structurally sound. I'm just saying, like, us straight dudes could learn a lot.
My wife and I, we were talking about why like some of our gay friends are our favorites is because, I mean, to be hated so much, you have to really genuinely not care about what other people think.
Yeah, and
Like,
to be honest, that's
In
literally
order to be
just
gay
that.
openly. You have to not, and you know how cool people are when they don't give a shit about what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
They're the coolest people ever. And I'm not saying you have to be gay to be that way, but I'm saying that like if you're gay, that you're probably that way. And like we always have a good time. We always have a good time.
I don't know. Every time I've met like a gay dude, if you say anything that's hilarious or anything, they will let you know. If you say something that's stupid, they will just give you the
super
stare that
nice.
just knows.
All right. Sorry. Back off topic. Sorry, we went really off topic. If you're
Yeah.
a producer but don't feel qualified to teach, what content would you create for social media?
Learning. Show you learning.
Yeah.
Because you can learn together. One of the things that DK had brought to my attention in the past was study together, which is just some random dude reading a book silently, and even that content has them at like hundreds of thousands of viewers, which is really odd to me, but it actually makes perfect sense. Some people just do well with that. And if you think about it, like what's his name? Illmind, the producer, he just produces beats, and he takes a lot of interaction, takes ideas from
Kenny
his
Beats
crowd
too?
and everything. Yeah, Kenny Beats too. They're just trying things out, and they're trying out new plugins all the time. And the cool thing is you're kind of figuring it out together. They're not experts on anything that they're doing outside of being creative.
And I said this on the podcast episode while we we're recording is I think it's just as valuable, if not more valuable than teaching, is the curation of content.
Yeah.
Meaning you don't have to teach. You can say, I learned this. Like what Lou was saying. Like you could say, I learned this from Andy Mariquin. I think it was useful. I saw a YouTube channel do this. So
I
but
want to
are you
see if
talking
the
about-
plugin is different than the real thing. Somebody let me borrow a real tube tech. We're going to try it against the soft tube plugin. Let's see if we can make it sound the same, or if we even hear the difference.
Yeah, and I think that you don't need to be qualified to do that.
In fact, I think the less qualified you are, the more honest the review of that is. It's like, yeah, I'm not picking up what the difference is.
Yeah.
Am I really going to spend $3,300 more just to buy the real thing if I can't tell?
Gary Vee does talk about how you should spend years learning about something and becoming extremely well versed on something before you start teaching about it or before you start making content around it. And I would say that me and you, by the time I started the podcast, we did the podcast together, we were already at that point. But if you're not feeling, and that's a confidence issue. I don't think that that's a learning issue. I think that's a confidence issue.
What
And
did you call
confidence
it?
comes with learning.
What did you call it? It's imposter syndrome.
Yeah, definitely. Imposter syndrome is a real thing as well. You don't have to be the man. You could still become, because being the authority when you make content is extremely important. For example, interview podcasts are statistically speaking the worst performing podcasts of all categories of podcast. I'm serious. If I do ASMR of me farting and sharting, it will statistically be in a better category than interview podcasts.
I'm not gonna lie, but there is a YouTube video. A guy makes a metal song with nothing but farts, and it's got millions of plays.
So the only exception to the interview statistic is that if you're interviewing celebrities, for example, Joe Rogan's at the top because he's smoking weed with Elon Musk. You're not smoking weed with Elon Musk. And if you interview your local musicians, it's not really helping. So that is something to bring up. So that's why we don't do a lot of interviews. It's people want you to be the authority. There's actually statistical evidence in any sort of, and podcast marketing as well, where the perfect amount of guests is at the most 1 in every 4 episodes to have a guest on the show. This is why we're really slow to bring on guests, because we do not want this to be an interview podcast. Okay, so another thing about that as well is, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Yo, I need to sleep. I think that's what it is, Lou. I think we just need to sleep.
Wait, have you not slept?
I did all right last night. I should have slept more.
I think I fell asleep around like 2, but I think it's just that, you know what? I feel like overloading yourself with work ahead of time will make you tired too. Like when I look at my calendar, I'm already exhausted.
I think the one thing all humans have in common is the only real goal that everybody has is get more sleep.
You know what? Have you seen there's a post on Instagram that says, let's be real, y'all. Everybody's skipped school at least once to get laid. And somebody commented below it saying, I've skipped school to go to sleep.
Definitely. No, I remember, Chazzy, here. This was for you. I remember, actually. So statistically speaking, they want an authority. Podcast listeners want an authority as well. So if you curate content, as long as you're the one that is curating the content, hey, I'm Chazzy, and this is what I learned this week from Manny Mariquin, or from this person, or from Mixed with Masters, whatever, right? You're still maintaining authority because you're curating the content. And you can reword what they said. You can show a 30-second clip of what they're saying and then expand on what they're saying with your own words from what you learned, and that would still be just as legitimate. And in fact, the more of an authority that you build yourself up to be, the more listeners there will become. People of the Mixed Music Podcast have become fans of me and Lou. After a while, they have become, and they stay because of me and Lou, and they're less likely to go to another podcast because it's not me and Lou, even if it's the same topic. Because it's not me and Lou, they're less likely to not go to them. So
it's the trust factor.
So even if you're curating, you can still become the authority. Just make sure that is an important part. So make sure that is part of it. Don't be afraid to be yourself. There. What up, Mileage? Thanks for joining us. So yeah, curating. If you aren't confident, and again, this is a really great question. If you aren't confident of teaching on the topic, and you're not confident enough that you're an authority on the topic, then you can curate. And also be entertaining. Like, a lot of my TikToks are also just extremely entertaining. Entertainment actually gets me the most amount of followers. Followers doesn't turn into conversion. Followers does not equal converting clients. But if they're following, then I can show them valuable things like I'm educated in this stuff and give them points, because entertainment stuff gets more shares. Like, I specifically have significant amount more shares when I do entertainment-based stuff versus educational stuff.
Yeah.
So education converts them into the podcast, into the paying customers, but entertainment converts them into, oh, maybe I might check this guy out. Lower tier conversion to higher tier conversion, like paid conversion versus fan conversion. So I think it's a good idea to mix both.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of a wild thing with the way reels work, because you used to see a lot of people posting about, like, you know, there's a lot of people that follow you, but there's only a few that will actually like and interact. With reels, you can see every single person, not see the person, but you can see every single count of people that have actually seen that video. But then you look at your interaction, and that's actually a really good way to gauge what's been working out for you. And that's kind of what I've noticed. All the silly stuff that I post definitely gets a lot more eyes, but a lot of the education gets a lot more interaction.
Yeah. So, and then also, it's also cross-platform too. So
yeah,
Gary Vee talks about trickle down content. For example,
like trickle down economics.
We're doing 3 things at once. I'm recording the podcast. I'm filming the podcast. I am live streaming the podcast. This is 3 platforms that I'm doing simultaneously at once, right? Which is a great starting point. I can then download the audio only and make clips. I can download clips of the podcast and then make clips on Reels and on TikTok. So from one large format, long format content, I can create a bunch of what we call micro content. And so that's one way of doing it too, saving you time. A little bit of time is having one long form content, whatever that is, YouTube videos, and then doing micro content. So this is something that Gary Vee talks about a lot, hence why he does the podcast, and there's lots of clips. Anyway, going back to this, there's also, the algorithm is kind of uncontrollable. For example, I've had reels that blow up. I've had a reel blow up on Instagram, but not on YouTube Shorts and not on TikTok, because I do the same thing. One video I do on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. So the one that blew up, it was just on Instagram, was some something that's like, it costs that much because it take me years to master. It costs that much, and I think you do it fast. It's like a joke kind of song in the background, and it was just a time lapse of me mixing, and that has tens of thousands of views. Actually, I think it may have hit 100,000 views, and just huge. It did not do anything on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. Now, on YouTube Shorts recently, I posted a video of me like going over my desk and be like aesthetic and showing off my new keyboard setup, and that blew up on YouTube Shorts. And it's not even about my music stuff. It blew up on YouTube Shorts, got thousands of views. And typically when it's only a couple dozen at a time, because YouTube is my worst performing platform, I will say. And then there's another one that didn't blow up on YouTube Shorts or on Instagram, but it blew up on TikTok. It was about the fader being the most powerful tool in your arsenal, and about kick drum. For some reason, it sparked some controversy in the comments, and then now thousands of views, tens of thousands of views. And I think that's just really interesting. So even if it doesn't blow up on one, you want to have multiple places that you post onto, because the algorithm is uncontrollable. Yeah, and you got to be consistent. Super consistent. That is one of the secrets. I can do like practical, specific. So some of the secrets to building up the podcast. This is some gems here. This is some secret stuff that we charge thousands and thousands of dollars for people to kind of understand and learn. It took us a long time to get. I think it's still the same, but first off, podcasting names, unlike blogs or website domains, do not have billions of. It's not hard to find a podcast name. For example, what is the name of my podcast? Mixing Music. When someone is searching for mixing, they know they're not looking for mixers of DJs or of other types of mixers. They want mixing music, so they type in mixing music. That was intentional. I called it mixing music because that's what people are typing in. I called it Mixing Music Break, second title, Music Production, Audio Engineering, which is another key hit word, SEO word, and Music Business. That's because if anybody types in any of the words, I'm going to be at the top. That's why. I'm at the top of anything that you search around music and music business because of this intentional thing. So when you name your podcast, don't name it Flubbergasted Flat Flaps.
Peanut Butter Breath.
Don't name it something. Name it something people will search. So if you're talking about songwriting, name it something songwriting something. And even better, like
Songwriting for Dummies.
Creative songwriting, great title right now, right? Creative songwriting for musicians and singers. That is a great title because people are going to type in those words. Great title. So Milan Blackbird 404 says, I searched for mixing on Spotify, and that's the reason I'm here now. Boom. That is not an accident. That was 100% intentional. I am perfect time. It was calculated. It was definitely calculated. And so I think that that's important. And with podcasts, another thing with podcasts here, another thing they think about is Apple Podcasts, which used to be the main authority. When I first started, Apple Podcasts was still much more popular over Spotify, but now Spotify is getting a lot more traction. On Apple Podcasts, and now available on Spotify too. So this is important. If you want to help us out, this is one way that you can do it. Apple used to have this. I need to find out and talk to my CEO and see if this is still relevant, but it used to be. We had a 94% success rate of getting any podcast that worked with us, that started with us, on the front page of Apple under Hot New Podcasts, which changes your trajectory of your podcast incredibly, like significantly. We're talking about the average download per episode is less than 26. And my first few episodes when I started were in the hundreds. Trajectory is just totally different because I was on the front page. I was the number one new podcast under music conversation, technology, and hobbies. Okay? This is how you do it. And we had a 94. We only were not able to get a podcast onto the front page because they just failed to follow through with this. Is if you can get 5-star. Okay, so how does Apple's algorithm? They're not going to manually put people onto the front page every single day. You know, they have to have an algorithm that determines how to get these podcasts onto the front page. So how do you do that? How do they create an algorithm that determines what goes on the front page of Hot New Podcasts? Right? It's about reviews and 5-star reviews. And this is how they do it. Let's count it as a point system. If you get any reviews in your first 24 hours upon release, it releases on Tuesday morning. In that first 24 hours until Wednesday morning, as each review is worth 5 points. In the second 24-hour period, each review is worth 2 points. In the third 24-hour period, each review is worth 1 point. And after that, it's not worth any points. Okay? In the first 72 hours, your first 72 hours upon release are critical. You have to use all of your email lists, all of your fans that you've already created, your social media. You need to pay people. You need to bring cookies to your neighbors. Literally, my CEO, when he has like the #1 Japanese learning podcast ever with millions of downloads easily by himself, what he did in the initial stages in order to get reviews is he took cookies to the Japanese learning class, the Japanese classes on campus at school, and gave out cookies like, I'll give you this cookie in exchange for a 5-star review on my podcast. And he did that. He got hundreds of reviews, got on the front page. So the secret of that is to get on the front page. You need to get as many reviews as you can within a 72-hour time frame. Does that make sense? Even better, within a 24-hour time frame. I don't know if that's changed, but same thing with Spotify. I assume with Spotify, because Spotify just released a 5-star rating system. You can't leave a review, but you can leave a rating. But on Apple Podcasts, reviews are better where they can just say, hey, even just a couple words, it's better. But even just leaving a 5-star rating is huge. So if you want to help us out a lot, leaving a 5-star rating on Spotify and leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts is a huge help for our podcast. It does help continue us to grow. It won't put us on the front page anymore, but it's going to help us continue to find more audience and put us at the top of the list of various other people and kind of recommend our podcast in the algorithm. So really, really, that helps us out a lot. I mean, same with YouTube, so it's the same sort of deal. YouTube is a little bit different because the goal, well, never mind. That's just theory. That's not true. But sorry. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on there. So there's some secrets there. Clip it. You better have clipped it because I'm not repeating it again. There's a lot more that goes into it. For example, that we actually have proprietary data on if you had two of the same exact artwork and name of the podcast was exactly the same, but one has my face on it and the other one has no face on it, the one with no face is actually going to get clicked on by strangers the most. There's also, we have statistics based on if the volume of your podcasts are not consistent where the guest is really quiet. So at any point, if any listener has to turn up or down the volume by hand just to hear the interview, they're going to sign off immediately. Things like that. We have data. This would be more specific to your category and stuff that we can run. But when we run, when we are onboarding new clients and we do a bunch of proprietary data on them, even the color of your artwork and the color of your artwork can change your trajectory as well. The reason for 4-Hour Work Week, the book by Tim Ferriss, was called 4-Hour Work Week based on something called shadow testing, which you should YouTube and look into if you want to do this. This is a great way of running ads and testing ideas. Shadow testing, 4-Hour Work Week is great. 4-Hour Work Week so lots of cool things there. So I really, really recommend checking that out. Thanks for the like, by the way. I really, really recommend checking that out. Yeah, that's my only notes. I think we're over time. Lou has to go back and set up for his stream. And I'm gonna eat some dinner before I upload these podcast episodes for tomorrow and next week and the week after. We're like a month and a half ahead, so you're not gonna listen to the one we just recorded for at least another month. So, all right, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you learned some stuff. Hopefully you had a good time, and definitely happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy. Yee.